Cheers, everyone, and welcome to another video. And this video, I want to talk about basically another kind of mental hack that we can use to snap ourselves into observer mode. Eckhart Tolle calls it the observer mode or the witness, and Vadim Zeland also speaks about this. Different teachers call it different things, but yeah, you could also call it creator mode. But regardless of what you call it, it is this kind of disidentification with the mind, disidentification with our 3D character, our 3D avatar, pulling back the awareness so that we're able to see ourselves and reality, as Vadim says in Tufti the Priestess, and begin to claim with authority and conviction that which is true about ourselves and reality. We're stepping back in the director's chair, right? Where we are the actor on the stage or in the film role that's playing along with the script. But this technique allows us to become the observer that's sitting in the seats, watching and directing and observing, right? The observer effect in quantum physics is a big deal because it is proof scientifically that what we observe tends to shift by our measurement or by our observation of it or by what it is that we believe to be true about this event or thing. In my book, I have a lot of different examples of different frames, how you can look at one situation and depending on your perspective, depending upon your frame and the lens through which you are seeing it, you're going to see something different. You are going to take it to mean something else, and that causes it to be more likely to be the way in which you understand it. So this technique that I have right here, and I can do, if you guys want a video all about reframes and how to reframe situations in your mind, let me know. I actually would love to do a video on that. It's kind of a tricky, tough topic because I have a lot of examples in the book on how to reframe. And I can give you guys a lot of examples, but it's really like context based. And if you tend to believe, that you are a worthy person, if you tend to believe like good things about yourself, if you have that strong self-concept, it's going to be easier for you to have these reframes, which there's multiple things that go into it, but doing the practice, doing the techniques and looking at the examples of the reframes is also going to help you understand the underlying principles so that you are able to reframe situations so that they work in your favor rather than the opposite, right? But with this technique in particular, this disidentification, it's about distancing yourself. And almost when you're going through negative emotions, let's say that you are feeling jealous or you are feeling depressed, or maybe you're angry at somebody for somebody that somebody did to you. It could be any of the above, right? Any negative emotion that you're having. You can literally be like, thank you, mind. And it sounds weird, right? It sounds just strange, but just bear with me. Like, just suspend your disbelief for a second. So you're like, yeah, thank you. I appreciate you letting me know that this is giving me this feeling of anxiety or this feeling of fear or this feeling of doubt, whatever it might be. And by disidentifying with the emotion itself, so you're saying, look, I know I'm experiencing this feeling right now. I'm having this feeling of anxiety. I'm experiencing this doubt right now. But you are not claiming it to be true. You're not making it about you. You're not making it mean that you can't get this thing. Because when we do that is we're like, oh, I'm never going to get this thing. Like, it'll never happen for me. I'm so scared. I am so scared, right? The I am. A lot of people say that's the most powerful way to affirm. Well, you are claiming that you are fear, that the fear is you. So now you are claiming with authority that state, with conviction that you are afraid. And you don't want to be doing that because that is going to inform the reality that you are going towards. It is putting that attention and focus on that. But by saying, hey, look, you accept it and you redirect it. It's this Aikido move where you say, yeah, I'm feeling anxious right now. Again, now you are one step away. You are acknowledging, yeah, I feel anxious right now. I'm experiencing anxiety right now. Just by labeling it and saying, I am experiencing fear right now. I'm experiencing anxiety right now. you've already taken yourself one step removed away from it. You're already becoming more and more in that observer mode. You are witnessing this emotion now. Now it is like your animal, your lower self is this, that's what's experiencing this, right? The reptilian brain, the fight or flight has switched on, and that's okay, because you are identifying with the higher self. You are identifying with the observer, and now you observe the emotion. You can observe the feelings. You can allow them to be there and breathe through them and accept them and accept that you are experiencing these emotions right now. But they are simply transitory, like guests in the house, like unwanted guests. They're here in the home right now. You can sit down with them, have them over for tea if you want to, and accept and allow their presence there. Another technique is you can dismiss them, but here we're talking about allowing right now. And when you've observed them, when you look at them in the face for what they are, they no longer have that power over you. It's the same way that with a bully will bully you on the things that you feel insecure about. But if you accept it and you're like, yeah, and so what about it? Like, say somebody calls you short and you're like, yeah, I know, I'm a fucking short king. Like, I know, but I make up for it in other areas. As you like look down, right? Or something, right? It doesn't have to be any particular way. You can use humor to diffuse it. You can use whatever. But I'm just trying to get you guys to understand that by accepting something or by allowing it to be there, you paradoxically are then able to transform it, are then able to move past it, are then able to transmute the entire thing, and it dissolves. And there's a great quote. I have it in my book here. Let's see. Where is it? It's something about like, as soon as you look at something, then it disappears. But it's like what you resist persists, but what you look at will dissolve and disappear. I mean, there's a better way to, there's a better way. Yeah, that which you resist persists, that which you look at disappears. That's one of the quotes. And there was another one. By basically the idea being that what you look at, you allow to transform. And that's what Carl Jung talks about when he talks about integrating the shadow. Doing shadow work is what this is. It is allowing yourself to feel those negative emotions, to allow yourself to acknowledge that darker part of yourself that most people try to shove under the rug. And what you try to shove under the rug oftentimes morphs into something that's worse than what it was initially. If you try to deny these lower aspects of yourself or these darker parts of yourself and repress them, and they tend to express. And that's the paradox with this. But once you acknowledge it, you are then able to transform it. You're then able to use that. Sometimes that dark energy, that darkness that resides within us, that anger even, can be channeled into a productive means. It's not to say that you want to dwell in a state of anger, but sometimes anger, even when on that emotional scale that Dr. Hawkins talks about, anger is actually higher up than states of like apathy, states of victim blaming. That's why I've posted many videos about how absolutely detrimental the victim mentality is. I mean, that's where you get like this vulnerable narcissism. That's where you get this like permission slip to, people commit atrocities in the world and on an individual level by going and dwelling into this victim state, which is basically, it's like a permission slip that I can do whatever I want now because I'm the victim. And people that play the victim, those are lower emotions actually than anger, because actually anger can get you in a state where you're actually now ready to take action, ready to change your situation. And again, it's not to say that you want to be dwelling and residing in that state of anger, because that's not going to be a good place for your baseline state to be in, obviously. But when you allow that to happen, sometimes those feelings of, like fuck this, right? I made that as like an affirmation lately. It's like a 2-word simple affirmation. It's like fuck this, or like fuck that. And then you are able to shift the energy. You're able to use that energy now and direct it into positive means. But if you don't allow yourself to actually have that moment where you're like, fuck this, right? Then you're not able to even shift out of that. Sometimes like on the process of achieving those higher states on the scale of consciousness, sometimes it can be helpful for us to go through them. You don't automatically shift from like the lowest of the low state to the high states. Sometimes you need to go through the process to get there. Like one step at a time type thinking. Anyways, so yeah, the disidentification and speaking to your mind as if it's like a friend, or if it's like, and just thanking the mind, that's that knowledge too, that your mind is there to protect you. Your mind is there as a friend. And the more that you treat your mind like a friend, like, thank you, mind, thank you, subconscious mind. I know that you're trying to do this for me. Let's figure out another way for this. You can even speak to it like, yeah, mind, appreciate it. I know we don't have the answer right now. Let's allow the answer to come to us. Let's put our faith that the answer is going to come to us. Because sometimes when we're in those very debilitating states of overthinking as well, it's because we are rummaging around with that, ruminating, or what's the word, like mulling over all of these things in our mind. And it's actually not allowing ourselves to get back into that yin receiving energy, which is then again, paradoxically, when we'll be able to receive the answer, receive the kind of, you might not have it right now. And it's okay. So it's okay to speak to the mind as if it's a friend. It's okay to speak to these different parts of yourself. In therapy and psychology, there's these different types of ways of breaking this down into parts therapy, where there's these different parts of yourself. And sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it is actually valuable to speak to those different parts of yourself. There is that like childlike part of yourself. There's that like indignant, maybe the parent part of yourself. And there's that teenager part of yourself. There's different type of schools of thought which acknowledge these different types of the self. And by personifying them, by making them a part so that you're not identifying with them and attached so strongly into you and who you are as a person, and identifying on that level, now you begin to have power over them. And again, by observing them, by allowing them to be there and seeing them for what they are, rather than trying to denounce them. I'm not that, I would never do that. Like, this perfect person that some of these people that are very, like I mentioned in previous videos, like this virtue signaling type of thing. Instead, getting away from that, acknowledging that, look, we all have this darker part of our nature. Human nature has a dark part. There might be a part of ourselves that beats ourselves up. There might be a part of ourselves that, we have these feelings, these transitory feelings of very, very negative emotions that we get towards ourselves and towards others. But acknowledging it and being okay with it allows us to then transform it and then shift it, right? Again, it's a paradox, but doing this, thanking the mind and putting yourself in this place where you're like, you label the emotions rather than taking them on, is going to allow you to make a shift. So with that being said, guys, I hope that this video has kind of elucidated some things, made some things easier to understand in terms of how you can use this labeling technique, this personification of the mind, personification of even the emotions. I've even, with intrusive thoughts, it's like you imagine these like little gremlins, they're like these little creatures, right? They're trying to come over, like the demon, the story with Buddha having the demon Mara over for tea. These are all stories that are in our collective consciousness, in our history as humanity, that help us understand these things better, because we tend to understand things more as stories. We understand things more through that hero's journey, right? That's why we love movies. That's why we love stories so much, is because then we're able to identify almost these different fragmented parts of the human mind, of the human consciousness, into these different archetypes that, oh yeah, there's the jester over there, and then there's the queen over here, and like the hero comes to save the princess from the castle, right? And these are all different states. I've mentioned in other videos before that we can occupy, that we can shift in and out of. And when we label them, when we understand that just as much as we can possess that hero energy, we also might possess some of that villain energy, or we also might possess some of that, that petty tyrant type of energy, right? And so these are all aspects of archetypes and archetypal consciousness, which exist within the mass consciousness that we slip in and out of. By allowing and understanding that that is true for us, that's how we can shift from them, and that's how we can move them. Because when we resist, let's say we're in that petty tyrant energy, it's going to be very hard. The more that we try to resist it, the more that we try to deny its existence at all, that there is a part of us that resonates with that, the harder it's going to be to shift from that, because you're not even acknowledging its existence, right? You keep directing that energy. That energy takes hold of you, and that state occupies you rather than you consciously occupying a state. And that is what I wanted to impart with you guys here today. The last final thing I'll say too is this visualization that you can do as well, which is like when you're thanking something, again, acknowledging its existence, you have that dark thought, you have those feelings, these negative emotions that we're talking about. You can say, thank you, and imagine a spray bottle. Thank you, thank you, thank you. that you were hitting it with the spray bottle and thanking it. And that can help. That can help, again, practice that non-resistance, practice that allowing, that acceptance that allows us to then shift the energy. Anyways, guys, much love as always. Drop this video with a like. Let me know your thoughts down below. Hit me with the subscribe if you've not done so already. The link to the book, my new ebook, is in the description. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.